gonna kill me! He's gonna kill me! The gun! The gun!
We are talking episode 8 of season 2. This one is directed by Bill Norton, a frequent director on the Tour of Duty series. And this one is called Popular Forces. And it's one of these episodes that has multiple story arcs. The main one being our squad taking a group of inexperienced South Vietnamese conscriptees out on a mission and on a kind of a training exercise. Where they kind of run into a bunch of NVA, and these kind of South Vietnamese soldiers kind of disguise themselves as VC to kind of fool the NVA. So that's your kind of your main storyline there. We've got a secondary story where Alex Devlin is, who's the reporter. She's basically kind of visiting a village and discovers a group of kind of child orphans that are kind of living there. And ultimately kind of wants to try and help them, and she kind of ends up kind of having to kind of run with them for a short time. We get a third story where we have Dr. Seymour meeting a kind of a supplier of malaria vaccines to try and get restocked, and she kind of ends up having to shoot a VC in Saigon, because the guy who is she's meeting is wearing a CIA jacket. And a fourth story where we get Taylor and Purcell kind of in a light-hearted race against a kind of a rival couple of soldiers, and they're on the kind of the duty in the motor pool. So, you know, this is what season 2 is kind of like. For the majority of the episodes, it has these kind of multi-story arcs. Let's talk about what I think works in this story. Okay, so I think the as with a lot of these episodes, I think some of these stories get a little shortchanged, but there is some good stuff on display here. The kind of the Dr. Seymour kind of storyline where she kind of meets this guy and ends up killing a VC, and obviously she's affected by it. And this is obviously something that she is herself trying to you know, come to grips with, help soldiers come to grips with this kind of the guilt and, you know, the trauma through the war. Now she's actually had to kind of be on the receiving end, and obviously her kind of relationship with Zeke and him supporting her, I think, is a good kind of touching moment and a good way to kind of to end off the kind of the episode. You know, the kind of this rivalry between Taylor Purcell and these other two kind of soldiers is a kind of fun, light-hearted moment. It gives the kind of the episode some levity. The other two kind of storylines, which is these soldiers, these South Vietnamese soldiers, who are seemingly at first a little inept, kind of coming good at the end, but maybe their kind of loyalty is at question. It's an interesting concept, and you know, I think it's like it makes for a short kind of dramatic moment in the episode, albeit it's just too truncated once again. And the kind of the other storyline with the Alex Devlin, again, is shining a light on the kind of these kind of orphans that are, you know, forgotten because they're kind of Vietnamese and they pretty much just have to fend for themselves. You know, it highlights a kind of a, you know, a casualty of this war that maybe people don't think about. So that's kind of good stuff. Obviously, the acting is, I think, it's all good as usual. I think all the cast here do a kind of a particularly good job. There's no one kind of guest star here that I think particularly kind of shines, partly because they don't have a huge amount of kind of screen time, which leads me on to maybe what doesn't work. And again, this is a complaint I've had largely with this season, is that they're simply trying to tell too many stories in a short amount of time. Let's take kind of what I would consider the main storyline, which is this group of Vietnamese soldiers who are kind of trainees. You know, there's a point where they're putting on these VC uniforms to try and fool this group of NVA, who seem to have a teleporting machine, by the way. I mean, we see a bit of a conflict with some VC where they get the uniforms at the beginning of the episode, and then later on the NVA, who they've kind of passed some time ago, have apparently found their bodies and then teleported directly to their, to their location. It's a little bit silly. Logistically, it just doesn't work. But that moment where these Vietnamese, these supposedly friendly kind of Vietnamese soldiers are, looks like they might actually be sort of taking care of these the roles as a VC somewhat seriously. It's quickly kind of undercut. There's no real kind of sense of tension because it's kind of immediately undone again. So they have this this moment where you don't know whether these guys they're just playing the part, or they're kind of like they really are kind of VC sympathizer, things like that, which is a good dramatic moment. It's just a little bit too quick, and the episode sets up their kind of sergeant as a capable military man who's very proud and everything. It just doesn't have the time to kind of marinate really, because it doesn't get a lot of screen time, and it's the same thing with the some of the other stories. I mean, the rating storyline, it doesn't need a lot of airtime, to be honest. And I actually I have to say the Jennifer Seymour storyline I think was okay. Didn't need more. Although this guy, this making this kind of supplier of this kind of medicine, he's played a little bit too comically for my tastes. It doesn't really kind of seem a particularly kind of serious character compared to other kind of like characters in the cast and things like that. And the Alex Devlin story, it didn't really feel like Goldman had to go and find it, but he literally just is sat in the chopper. So again, it undercuts some of that dramatic tension because they're just trying to give all the characters things to do, and rather than kind of keeping them as one kind of mission, or maybe even two storylines, we've got kind of four interconnected stories here, which ultimately means a lot of people are cut short. Their storylines are cut short. We don't think the guest stars really kind of register all that much this particular episode, and ultimately it's an okay episode, but it doesn't really have a huge amount of meat on the bones, and ultimately I think, in my opinion, comes across as somewhat of a missed opportunity when there was some kind of good storylines that could potentially have been expanded upon, but it kind of squanders on because there's just simply, it's not given enough time to kind of really build any type of real narrative structure in this one. So this one, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I still think it airs on the side of good television, but it's just not particularly a special one, if you ask me, because it undercuts itself. Have you seen it? What did you think of this particular episode? Please do leave me a comment, and I shall look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.